simple server inside your Node.js. We have seen what do you mean by module. How do we include a node module? Require is the method. We followed some set of steps in order to create a simple Node.js server. Okay, I said like require HTTP one of the node module, and I said like creating a server using HTTP.create server, and this create server method is taking one of the callback method, and that callback method is coming with some two predefined objects. One is your request object and the response object. Under the request object, using which we can handle the, we will be having every extra information of what is the request being created from the user side, from which IP, from which date, what actually the data user is sending. Every other information will be part of the request object. And when I want to respond back with the user, we use the response object. So this is how it's an optional part. We can even specify the status code also here. What is the status code and what is the content type we want to respond to the user, that we can do. And response.end is the method using which you can even send the data back to the user. For example, if I'm interested with sending a JSON file, okay, user is not expecting some string messages. Instead, if at all I have to send some JSON file, we can even do this. For example, I say I want to send some data where some data is equal to, say, some name, Mr. Raj, age some 20, gender, say some male. Okay, if at all I have to send this data to the user, I can even say that response.send data, this data here. Whereas when I'm sending the data, the text and JSON is the format what I am about to send. Now, when I save this, and how do you start your server? How do you start your node server here? Node is the only command what we have. We say node space, what is your server name? Okay, I simply say server is listening at 5052. Now I say localhost 5052, click on enter. Not responding. Why so? Chunk argument must be type of string. Okay, when it is a JSON, then this guy has to be JSON.stringify. Data is equal to JSON.stringify data. Save this. Again, restart your server. So if you have any errors inside the server, under the command prompt, under the server CLI itself, command line interface, we call it as, here itself, you should able to see the response here. Okay, now I simply say node so-and-so, you see the server is listening at 5052. Now I come back and reload the page. This is how I'm getting. So you can send the HTML, you can say the string messages, you can send anything from the server back to the user. Are we clear here, everyone? Okay, let us even work with some file system, guys. My requirement is I have some file information, say, okay. So my requirement is I have a file, something called as some sample.txt. Okay. Under this, I'm going to say some message like, hello, everyone, hope all doing good. Okay. Okay, save this guy. My requirement is and I want to show it on the page. So how I'm going to do that? Okay, in order to do this, again, it's a file operation. One thing what we can see is your client-side code never ever interact with the database, or your client-side code can never ever interact with your file system also. We can never open the file, we can never write the content into the file. Those things cannot be done using your client-side piece of code. Then what I need to do? I need to again depend upon the server. Your server, Node.js, is capable of working with the file system also. In order to work with the file system, we have a predefined node module which is called as require FS module. We know that any node module we want to make use of it, you simply say require FS. Okay, now I'm going to get the reference of FS here. Now, my interest is not to work with this JSON. I would like to say fs dot open. Okay, when I say open, it is going to ask for the file name, which one you want to go with. I say sample.txt is the file name. And based on that, the response, what you're going to get is the data, what you have inside this. I say file data. And under this, I say console.log file data. Okay. Now inside this, I say response header is this guy. And when I'm going to send the data, instead of this data, I can send the file information here. Are we clear? Okay. What I'm doing is anyone who is hitting my server, I'm trying to open the sample.txt file. I'm reading the content, what it is having, and I'm responding as a response to the user. Now I save it. I restart my server.
వైఫై కూడా ఇప్పుడు వాడట్లా కట్ చేస్తారు కనెక్షన్ మనుషులు కూడా లేరా
Okay, I come back to this. I reload this. Nothing is coming. Why so? Nothing is saved inside the sample.txt. We save it, right? Then did I save this file? Oh, content type is text or text. Plain text, right? Don't see that. Why it is not responding? fs.open sample.txt. Open function, which I need to specify this, and the callback is, oh, one thing guys, this one I missed it. The first callback method will be the error. Second callback will be the response. Okay, I will tell you what actually this guy is. Okay, now when I'm reloading the page, don't see this. I have an error. What is that? Node first error. Outgoing so and so. The chunk argument must be of type string or buffer. This guy is a string only, right? I said dot to string. Three. What is this numbers? Flags is invalid. Okay. Open sync first path is path and flags is fs.mode. Okay. Then I don't want to go with this guy. I say open. For this open, the function first one is path Second one is flags. And the third one is the callback method. When I go with the flags, it was simple. Maybe in the latest version, they have modified this. Number. Mode argument must be of type number. Received type function. Better I go with FS node module. Okay, FS is the node module. FS read file. You know one thing, why I'm going with the open, it has to be read, right? FS dot read file. For that, I say sample dot txt. And now I have the callback method. Under this guy, we say some error and we say some data. Response dot end this data. That's it. Okay, this is how, if you see, when I'm hitting my server is actually reading the data from the sample.txt and is simply returning back to me. So here in the file, I have added it for multiple times. That is the reason it is coming. Okay. Now, the first thing what you need to know inside your Node.js is Node.js follows a different type of syntax, guys. What was that? Anytime, say, for example, in case of your Ajax, whenever we say $.Ajax method, okay, we used to have something called success and we used to have something called as failure, okay, or error we call it as. Anytime any job we do in case of your other JavaScript APIs, they generally take two parameters where the first parameter is going to be the success and the second parameter is going to be the error. But here Node.js is following a different type of syntax here. Any job you do, the first parameter what you receive is the error, second parameter what you receive is the success callback method. Okay, that is the different structure or different syntax what Node.js is following. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm saying that boss, using your file system, read a file method for which what is the file thing, what is the name of the file which you want to read it, and the second thing is a callback method. Under this callback method, I'm going to have the first parameter as an error. Now what I can say, if we have an error, then you can say that issue while reading the, for example, I can say response dot end, I will say error while reading file. If this is not the case, I could able to read the content from the file and I could able to show the data to the user. For example, I say sample123.txt. Do we have that file name? No. When I'm reading that file, obviously I will get into the error. Now, when I reload this page, this is how you're going to get into the error. The first parameter will be coming when there is an error while reading this file. When there is a success, obviously second parameter will be there. It is not like data comma error, but error comma data it has to be. Everywhere in the Node.js, the syntax is going to be first parameter is always error, second parameter is always the success object. Clear, everyone? Okay. Now, this is how I could able to read the data from a file and I could able to respond back to the user. Okay, I'm reading the content from the file and I could able to show the data back to the user here. Super fine. Next thing is, what if I would like to write some content into the file? Okay, what if like I want to write some content? Then what I'm going to do is, I say fs dot write file, write file sync and write file. Write file sync is synchronously. So that, like, say, for example, when two people are writing onto the same file, it will make sure that one guy will automatically go into the waiting state. Okay, when I say sync, it will make a lock on that file. Only you can write on that. Once you release that, then the second user can write on that. Okay, it should not be like parallelly people are writing. Okay, I say write async here. I need to say something called as test.d, say some txt. Okay, and you need to specify the message what you want to put. I would like to say this is a message what we wrote dynamically. Okay, this is the message I would like to add. And now you're going to get a callback method. Under the callback method, the only thing what you get is error. If we have an error, implies I couldn't able to write the message. If you don't have an error, successfully it got added. Now I can say response dot end. I'll say added content to file. This is what the message I could able to mention here. Are we clear? Now when I save this, come back here and I say node so and so. Now when I'm reloading this guy, what happened? I said response dot end all content. Fine, right? What happened? Now when I say here, it is saying that added content to the file. Now the first question is, I have given the file name called as test.txt. Earlier, do we have this file called as test.txt? Actually, no. Write file method is a method which will automatically create a file if the file is not existing. Okay, write file is a predefined method from the FS node module, which will automatically create a file if the file is not existing inside the system. And if the file is not existing, I'm going to create a file. And you see inside this, I should be able to see that the message was written dynamically. This message has been added. Okay, now what if the file is existing? Right now, the file is existing. Now I would like to put a message, some new message being added, some message, new message I'm going to add it. And right now the file is existing. Now let us see how it is behaving. Now I'm going to restart it. If I reload the page, I go back to the folder, I open this test folder, you see the new message has been added. Now the question is, what about the previous message? So whenever you say write file, it will always make sure if the file is existing, I will clear out all the data. I will flush it out all the data, whatever I have. I'm going to add the new data there. If the data is, if the file itself is not existing, I will create a new file and I'm going to write the content there. Now my expectation is, don't delete the existing one. I want to append the new content, whatever you are adding. In that case, I have a file name, something method called as append file. Instead of write file, I will say something called as append file. Now when I go for this, I say node so and so. Once I reload the page, now if you open this text guide, you see the new content has been appended to this instead of clearing out the data. Are we clear? So like this, FS is one of the simple node module you have, using which any type of file operation, reading the content, writing the content, appending the content, modifying the content on the file with the required line, everything can be done using your FS node module. Now, the next part what we have inside your Node.js is, one thing what we got to know is, anytime I want to do anything on the node server, am I writing everything manually here? Manually include the HTTP node module, manually HTTP.create server, manually make the server to listen to a particular port number, etc. In fact, we are not written the complete server. You know, when I say it as a server, internally it even need to handle the exceptions also. Whenever there are errors, how do we handle the exceptions? Whenever there is success, how do we handle that? Whenever there are n number of status codes, how do we handle that? Lot of things need to be taken care inside your server. Right now, I'm simply creating a server, making the server to listen to a particular port number, and I'm responding back. But that is not the case. When I go with a complete bigger application, error handling has to be done, exception implementation to be done, status code implementation handling should be done. Lot of things we have to do there. Now, in order to do all this, it won't be a better option for the developer to do everything manually. Assume like every day I'm going to create some multiple servers for multiple applications. Even though it is one-time job, for multiple applications, I need to do it for multiple times. So in order to avoid all this, we are going to depend upon a framework, something called as Express. Express is one of the framework which is coming on the top of your Node.js. Now, when I say Angular is one of the framework which is coming on the top of your existing JavaScript. React is one of the library which is coming on the top of your JavaScript. Whereas Express is one of the framework which is coming on the top of your Node.js. It's all from the server side. Okay, Express framework is coming as a external framework on the top of your Node.js, using which you can simplify the operations or the methods what we apply under your Node.js server. Okay, using your Express Node module, you can actually override, you can get the advantages from, being a developer, you will be getting advantage by not to go with the things, not to go with the very basic things manually. Instead, I can directly go with the Express framework here. And on the top of Express framework, there is another node module which is called as Express-generator. So what is the use of this Express-generator node module? This guy will help you to minimally create a folder structure for any of the server which is already using the Express.js. Repeating again, Express-generator is one of the node module using which we could able to create minimum folder structure for any server what you're going to create, where under the Node.js, which is already using an Express generator or Express framework. Now, say for example, I'm going to create one online shopping application. Okay, do I need to create a server? And in order to create a server, minimally I need some public folder, a static folder, minimally needed a server startup, minimally I needed some index files or some Jade files or some template file, minimally I need something. Let us take a practical example. Say for example, I want to create my home. Okay, for example, there is a builder who is going to create some n number of homes in a very big place. Assume 100 places, 100 houses he want to create. Now, what is the very minimum thing happens for each and every 100 houses? Minimally, I need to dig the soil and I need to put on the pillars and I need to put on the slab and the base structure need to be created, which is the very minimum thing has to happen irrelevant of what is your structure of your home. Yes or no? Now, the same thing was in the universe who want to create a Node.js server. Minimally, I need the server error handling. Minimally, I need to make the server to listen to a particular directory. Minimally, I need to specify what is the public or static folder. So whatever the minimum things which are needed to create a server, instead of you guys doing it manually, I will simply give you this Express generator will help you create a folder structure, give it to you. On the top, you do your changes. Are we clear? That is what your Express generator is. And whatever the folder structure it will create, it will make sure Express is already used into that application. Are we clear? Okay. So in order to make use of these two, the very first thing what I need to do is, I don't want to go with this manually doing this, guys. If you say that, no, boss, I want to do it manually. If I create 100 projects, 100 times I need to say require HTTP, http.server.listen, http.make the right head so-and-so, and HTTP error handling, everything you need to do it manual. But Express header, Express generated, what it is doing is, in the universe, whoever is creating the Node.js server, who want to depend upon the Express node module, minimally they want the same folder structure. Why do they have to do it manually? Instead of this, I will help you to create in a static template. For example, I want to create a car, guys. Assume I want to create a car body here. Now, whenever I'm going to create a car, is it not the body? Say, for example, if it is a 5-seater, is it not the chairs or inside sitting? Is it going to be same in the universe, whoever is going to create the car? On the top, whatever the cover it comes, that might be changed. On the top, the body internally, like the engine system, etc., those are going to be different. So instead of me creating the chairs, if someone is helping me to automatically create the chair and give it to me, I directly take it, install it on the top, I do my customization. Isn't it? So that is how your Express-generator is going to help you. Now, in order to make use of a server or in order to create a server using your Express generator, in fact, you guys have already done at the very initial stage, but at that time, you don't have any minimum idea of Node.js. We just blindly followed the instructions and we just finished it out. But now we are going to see each and every part of the complete folder structure. Now, as I said you, I'm going to create a web application, which we call it as online shopping application. Okay. Now I go to this folder, I say cmd. Now I would like to install this Express Node module. What is the command? npm space install express-g. What is this -g here? Globally installation. So that once you install this Express Node module, I can make use of this Express Node module not only on the F drive, I may use it in C drive, D drive, anywhere in my machine. Okay, to make use of the corresponding package throughout the system, we are saying that -g, which is globally. Now I click on enter. Okay, this is been installed. Now I say the next folder, which is called as generator. Express-generator space G. -G. Okay, these two things are being installed now. Now, you know that whatever the folder where you want to create your Node.js server, I am already into this. I'm already into F drive. I'm already into UI classes. I'm already into UI classes folder. Now I say Express, what is the project name you want to create? For example, I'm working for banking application. I say something called as banking application, like this. When you're giving the server name or your application name, make a habit of not giving spaces. If it is spaces, it is having a different meaning. Okay, so now I say banking application. For example, if it is Amazon server, I say Amazon. Like this, you can specify whatever the application name you want to go with. I say something called as Express online or else trending. What else? What is the name I can give? Any trendy name for an online application shop like Amazon, Flipkart? Which name we can provide? Sorry, don't say Durga Prasad store. Anything else? Lifestyles, no copy. Anything new? Latest trends. Do we have this? Latest trend store. Okay, this is fine. Now our application name will be latest trend store here. Now once I click on enter, you know that a complete folder will be created with all the minimum folder structure. As I said you, Express generator is helping us to minimally create in the universe. Whoever is going to create a Node.js server, they have to do this. That minimum code, I have done this. Let me show you an example, guys. If I open this bin folder, there is a file called as www. If you open this www, do you see a piece of code which is including this HTTP node module? Yes, it is. Now, if I open this HTTP, am I working with create server method over here? Yes, it is. Am I working with making the server to listen, server.listen to a particular port number? By default, it is taking the port number as 3000. These all code earlier, we have done it manually, boss. I used to say HTTP, I used to say HTTP.create, I used to say HTTP.server.listen to a particular port number. He's not even having a callback method. We can even mention this callback method. I say so-and-so console.log server is listening at port number. Okay, so and at the same time, you see how do we normalize the given port? How do we handle the port? How do we handle when there is an error? Is it not the minimum code which is been already added for the user? So now do I need to add this basic code? No, boss. When I'm creating a server, I don't need to go with this basic code of creating a server, etc. things and all. Instead, I can simply say, okay, my server is ready. Now you start working with your web services. This is what the advantage you are getting with your Express-generator. And you see, he has even added one app.js file. I'll go to each and every line of this later. But if you clearly see this, am I not using the Express node module here? Yes. So he has written the piece of code in such a way that it is already using the Express node module there. Okay. So this is what the advantage you're going to get in the universe. Whoever want to create a project, minimally these all are the folders which we needed. That is getting created automatically by your Express-generator node module. Are we clear? Everyone? Nice. Okay. Who is that? Santra? Mintra became Santra. Okay, fine. Now, my expectation. Now, another thing what I have is, let us go with individual file, guys. What do you mean by bin folder? What do you mean by public routes, etc. and all? The very first file what we need to understand is package.json. Any application you go, guys, you go to the React, you go to the Angular, you go to the Node.js, first thing what you will be having is package.json file. Okay, let us understand what you mean by this package.json. So what all information will be having this, the very first part over here. Let us cover this part over here. The very first thing what it says is, it is going to tell you what is the name of your current project. At the same time, you can even give some description also, because for example, in future, you are sharing this node project to someone else. How do they get to know that what actually your project is for? What actually that it does? Every information we could able to find out under the package.json file. Under that, we can say that this is an application works or shows used to do online shopping, something like this. In the same way, we can also mention the authors list. I can say authors. Who all are the authors I have? I can say some array. Under that, I have some object, author name, Mr. Raj. As it is JSON, for sure, we need to strictly follow this. Okay. Object string. Okay, they written that in the form of an object. Like this, I can mention. See, under the package.json, we could able to specify for the current package, what is the name of the package, what is the current description of it, what is the list of authors who all have created, what is the current version, whether it is a private module or a public module, that we could able to specify it here. And this starting script, I will come back to that. And now there is something called as dependencies. So when I create one of the node package, or when I say that one of the node server, are we not going to depend on n number of node modules? Earlier, we were depending on HTTP and FS module. In future, I might be depending on encryption node module. I might be depending on Express node module. I might be depending on some socket IO module, cluster module, n number of modules are there. Dependencies is the predefined object which is going to show you list of all the node modules, what all the current server is depending on, along with the version numbers. Okay, I see you are depending upon a node module called as cookie-parser. You're depending upon a module called as debug. You're depending upon a module called as express, HTTP-errors, Jade, Morgan. When I open this app.js, am I not using these modules here? See, he's internally using a module called as cookie-parser, Morgan, Path, Express, HTTP errors. Those all things are already been mentioned under the package.json. Why the reason you're mentioning under package.json? The reason is, whenever I want to run this server, First of all, I need to install that HTTP error module, Express module, Morgan module, Path module. Do I need to install and start working on it? Now, when I say that my server is depending on 100 node packages, I can't go to every package. I say npm install HTTP, npm install FP like this. Now you see here, I say npm install HTTP -errors. This I need to do. I need to install one of the node module. Like this, I need to install npm install something called as Morgan node module. I need to do this. Instead of you doing it manual installation of every package, you simply say npm install, nothing else package. Now, once I click on npm install, it will automatically install all the packages, whatever you are dependent on. How does it know that what all the packages depend on? It will automatically open the package.json. It will see what all the list of packages user is depending on. I will automatically install all the node modules. Are we clear? That is the reason right now we are depending on 6 node modules here. In future, you might be depending on another 20 node modules. So whenever you are depending on new node module, you make sure the entry will be done in the package.json. Okay, we make sure the entry will be done under the package.json so that when we are giving the package to the other users, they can simply say npm install. When I say npm install, you see here, I have not mentioned any of the module here, but it has automatically installed all the packages. Where it has installed, where I am installing, I have to do that under the cd latest and stores. Now I say npm install HTTP -errors. Assume like this is the node module I want to install. See, when I'm installing this individually, when I'm installing this HTTP -errors node module, this is an individual node module you're installing. Okay, he said like one package is looking, okay, this is fine. It has added 99 packages. Then you may ask me a question, boss, you have installed one package. Why it has installed 100 packages? Let us go into this. Whenever you are installing any of the node module, by default, a folder will be created, which is called as node_modules. There is no way you can change this folder. You want to say that instead of node_modules, I want to say some ABC, some Prasad, XYZ, not at all possible. You cannot rename the node_modules folder. By default, every node module will be installed under the node_modules folder only. Are we clear? Okay. Now, if I open this node_modules folder, you could able to see all the 99 folders or all the 100 packages being installed. The question is, you have installed only HTTP errors. This is the package what you have installed. What about the remaining all? Why the other things have come? If I open this HTTP errors, we guys are depending on HTTP errors node module. Internally, he might be depending on some more packages. Now, say for example, when I'm depending on Bootstrap, internally there is something called as Polyfire Popper. There is something called as a Popper.js, which is internally depending on. So whenever we depend on one package, they might be depending on internally some more packages. Now, when I open this HTTP errors, you see he is also having one package.json. If I open this package.json, see how many dependencies he is having. He is depending on some ESLint. He is depending on some Mocha. He is depending on some other node modules. See, these all are the node modules he is depending on. Now, these modules also will be automatically installed under the node modules. Now, he is depending on something called as ESLint, right? Now, say, for example, yeah, you see here, he is depending on DEPD, inherit, set prototype, statuses. For example, statuses is one of the node module. Let us see the statuses. See, this is the node module also got installed. Now, when I open statuses, he might be depending on some other node modules. See, he is having one package and his dependencies are dependencies. He is not having any dependencies. These all are dev dependencies. For example, what all the other dependencies under this HTTP errors? For example, inherits. Inherits is one of the node module he is depending on. Inherit. See, I'm installing inherits, but when I open this inherit, he might be depending on some other modules. He's not depending on any. Sorry. Yeah, dev dependencies that are different. What all the other modules we have? DEPD. DEPD. I am installing this DEPD. Now, when I open this guy, he is having the dependencies no more. Okay. For example, if I open any other module like ASAP, now I open this package. He is also not depending on anything. Align text. Mostly he should not depend on other modules. See here, I am depending on align text, but internally he is also depending on kind of longest repeat hyphen string modules here. So whenever that is the reason I am installing something called as HTTP errors as a one node module. npm space install HTTP errors. But if I open the node modules folder, it has installed almost 100 packages for you. So why the reason? You are depending on one node module. That one node module might be depending on other hundreds of node module. All the modules will be automatically installed. Okay. So that is the reason, instead of you manually going with installation of one package, you simply say npm install. Now, if you click on enter, it will automatically go to this package.json. And once I open this package.json, I will install all these dependent node modules. At the same time, internal dependent also I will be installing all. That is where you should able to see that hundreds of node modules are been installed here. See, all these node modules are, see, n number of node modules you got installed with. Okay. So the very first thing what we need to know is package.json is the very first file to check for. Whenever you say npm start, whenever you say npm install, the very first thing what it will look for is package.json file. And by default, the package.json file is the only name it will look for. There is no other alternative name. You say that instead of package.json, I want to rename it to some abc.json, not at all possible. Okay, the name should be only package.json. You cannot rename it. Are we clear? Okay, so we cannot rename it. For sure, it has to be package.json. From there, what all the things you will be having? You will get the extra information. Now, if you see, I'm opening the package.json of this align-text. See what they are saying? Boss, this name of this package is so-and-so. What is the description? It is used to align the text in a string format. What is the version? 0.14. What is the homepage of this guy? Who is the author? Mr. John. Like this, every other information, license information, start information, every other information will be part of this package.json file. In our case, we haven't mentioned everything. We just mentioned the name, version, description, author, and the list of dependencies. So this is another package, ASAP package. The version is so-and-so, description is so-and-so, keywords are so-and-so, license is so-and-so. Whereas coming to our package.json, no, sorry, HTTP errors package. See, this is the our version, our script, and our dependencies like this. Are we clear? So we can always specify list of all the dependencies, the author information, extra information, everything will be part of the package.json. Whenever you simply say, for example, if I say, I'm going to rename this package.json file. I say this is package 1. Now, if I come back to my server, I say npm install. As I already said you, whenever you say npm install, it will automatically look for a file called as package.json. If it is not available, it is simply throwing an error. It is saying that, boss, I couldn't able to find a file called as package.json. You cannot run this npm commands here. Are we clear, guys? Okay. So for sure, package.json should be only package.json. No way you can rename that particular file. Any questions up to this package.json file? I will go to each and every file of this one by one. First of all, let us get clear with the package.json. Okay, Nukraju, sir, what is dependencies? Dependency is internal dependency. Nukraj, say for example, practical example, guys. For example, you guys have given me a contract. Assume like I'm a marriage, you say event manager. Assume like I'm the guy who actually creates some event. You said like, boss, there is one marriage happening. You have to take it. Now you give me a contract. Say that, boss, this is a 20 lakhs I'm giving for you to set up the marriage part. Now, once you give me 20 lakhs, do you think that being a marriage event organizer, I will be doing everything? Now I will go for some dependency of some flower event manager who is only working on the flowers. I say that, boss, I'm going to pay you some 2 lakhs of amount. You come over here, you put the flowers over here. I'm going to depend upon some, say, for example, some cooking. I'm not going to cook there. I will go with some catering people. I will say that, boss, I'm going to give some 3 lakhs of amount. Please put some. So this is like the actual guy who want to get married or they are organizing the marriage, they are depending on me, and I depend internally depending on some other people. Now here, for example, I'm the event manager. I'm saying the other guy, please organize the flowers. Now, do you think that he is the one who is putting on the flowers? No, he is giving some like, what do you say, the order for other people from other states. In generally from Bangalore, we'll be getting the flowers in Hyderabad. So what actually they do, he has to depend upon the vendor who is in the Bangalore. He might be depending on some other thing. So this is what we call it as dependencies. So we as an end user only depending on one guy. Now, when I say that, boss, who is all responsible for arranging this marriage? I need to show this all the dependencies, what all you have. In general, in an outer picture, you say that, okay, he is the event manager who created this. But internally, all these dependencies will flow. Are we clear? Hope I'm clear with your question, Raju. Okay, what is dev dependencies? This is the package dependencies, and internally whatever the code it is depending, right? That is what we call it as dev dependencies. I will come to this in the next part. If you see in our package.json, you don't see where is our package. So if you see, there is no dev dependencies over here. Okay, so dev dependencies are the piece of ones which we are depending with the code. That I will come to that later. I will tell you. Till now, are you clear on this? Okay, next, Sunil. How I will change the port number in the Express generator. That is what we are doing that, right, Sunil? If you see, when I am opening this www file, I shown you under bin folder, there is a file called as www. Under that, there is a port number. By default, they are writing the piece of code to depend upon the 3000 port number. You say that, no, boss, I don't want to depend upon this 3000 port number. You say some 8081, something like this you can do. You can always change this port number. Right now, I want to go with this default 3000. Am I clear, Sunil, with your question? Okay, now on the top, yeah. So everyone is so clear with use of package.json file. Can I rename the package.json file? No, by default, your node commands will only look for the package.json file. Very good. The next part. What do you mean by this start command here? If you see, there is something called a start node space bin -www. In general, in order to start my server, you know what I will say? I will say npm start. Now, if I click on enter, it should automatically show me some errors. It is saying that cannot find node module, but I have already installed, right? I say npm install. When I say npm install, it has to install all the node modules. Yeah, now it has installed all this. Now I say npm start. When I say npm start, you see it is saying that server is listening at so-and-so port number. The very first question what you need to ask me is, boss, yesterday you said in order to start any node server, only command what you have is node space file name. But now what you are saying is npm start. Why so? The reason is whenever you say npm start, internally it will go to the package.json file. It will understand that what do you mean by start? Start indicates that node space a file called as www. Okay, one thing you need to understand is only one way you can start the Node.js is node command, node space so and so. Even though you are giving npm start here, internally it will go to the package.json file. It will run this guy. So that means either you can say npm start, or the shortcut is node space bin folder triple double bin folder. Why this guy? Triple W. Is it both are same? Yes or no? Either you can say npm start, or you say node space so and so. Why the reason people go with this npm start here? Boss, in future, say for example, I am a package I am developing. Now I am sharing with you all. I am saying that this is what my project is. Instead of you going into each and every file, see that what is the starting file, you always say that npm start. And the start command will be always added under the package.json file. Now, if you see under the package.json, you see that this is where the start command has been added here. Okay, so when you see the start command here, it automatically runs this guy instead of running the, whenever you say npm start, I go to the package.json. For example, if this entry is this entry is not there, assume this entry is not at all there. For example, I say under the scripts, you're not giving anything here. Now, if you come back, now that guy is having a confusion, which one I need to start with. Now, when I say npm start, you see it automatically says that there is nothing been mentioned under the start command. Okay, in that case, the only option what I have is node bin slash triple W file. Are we clear? Everyone? Okay, so for sure, if you, the advantage what I have is, if I don't have the start command, I as a developer, I need to go to this complete project. I need to understand where the start command has been given, start file has been given. Because under this bin folder triple W, instead of triple W, I can say that my server. I can do this. I can rename the file. Now, if I rename the file, where is the corresponding change has to be done? Under the package.json file. Under this package.json file, I have to say instead of triple W, I say what I said, my server I said. My server. Now, if you see, when I say node or npm start, you see it automatically starts that server. I haven't saved it. I say npm start, it will automatically run the server for us. Okay. So now you tell me, till now we have seen, okay, I'm making it back to triple W. Okay, you tell me what are the files which cannot rename into this folder? Package.json, which we have seen. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about what is package.log.json and remaining all. And under the bin folder, there is a file called as triple W, and this triple W also can be renamed. Yes, it can be renamed. This bin folder can be renamed. It can be renamed. If you do the renaming there, you have to do the corresponding change under the start command. Are we clear? Okay, so let us pause it for today, guys.